the same cycle of having sex and drinking and just
Hello, my good people, and welcome back to the Empress Show. This is your girl Julie, or if you like, you can call me Jules, or your Wonder Woman Julie. So, guys, I really want to thank you as usual for always keeping us motivated, inspiring us with your views, comments. Thank you so very much. And, guys, so today I am here with an amazing guest. And I am here back with the story, my story segment. And this is one of the most inspiring stories that I've had, for a very long time. And I can't wait for you guys to hear this. It will touch someone's life out there. It will inspire someone's life out there. It will motivate someone. And so, who am I to say no? Anyway, so guys, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure that you take your 1 minute, 1 minute to just subscribe. Press that notification bell so that anytime we upload a new video, you will be among our first, very first loyal fans kuanza kuwatch. So guys, make sure you also give us a comment. Let us know what do you think about the videos that we put up here for you guys. And yeah, you will be motivating us. So karibu sana. I want to welcome you so very much. I am so humbled. Yeah, you taking your time to come here. Nimekutafuta sana guys, nimemtafuta sana because I really wanted her message to get to you guys. So karibu sana. You will start by telling us your name, and we will move forward from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Catherine. I go by Catherine Manning. I'm born again. I love the Lord very much. Hatutaenda kwa age, but tuko mahali. And I'm a teacher.
Wow.
When I'm not a teacher, I am a content creator.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've mentioned that you are born again.
Yes,
and
much.
You are a teacher.
Yes.
What do you teach?
I teach little children from the age of 4 to 8.
Okay.
And because they're not really specializing in anything,
yeah,
I teach them everything.
Everything.
Yes.
And is it Kenyan curriculum? Unajua hiyo kizungu lazima tujue where you lie, tujue kama tutaleta kama ni nazari za kawaida.
I teach in a British international school here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. And you've also told us that you're born again. When did you get born again?
I received Christ when was it? 24th of September 2017.
2017.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that you got born again when you were still a teenager.
No. I was 20 years old.
20.
Yes.
What pushed you to getting born again at that, that's a tender age still? And
yes.
So many youths, so many guys will want to, tunasemanga raha iko hapo,
I'm telling you.
And some people will hear you saying, I'm born again, wengine watasema, it's boring to be born again at a certain age. I'm saying what I hear outside,
yes.
And it is real. And some people will not consider getting born again at such an age.
Yeah.
So tell us, how was it for you before you got born again? Before now to ingia mbona after you got born again?
Right. So I always start my story from when I was young. I was raised in a Christian home. My grandmother, before she passed away, instilled a lot of faith, not just in me, but also in my cousins, my parents' generation. Nobody was left out in regards to going to church, knowing God, knowing the Word. So that's my background. Growing up, that was continued by the different people that I lived with. and I believe that's where I met you.
Yeah.
Where my aunt and my uncle would bring me to church in Githurai. And so that was up until I was 13. And then when I was 13, I moved from the Kenyan system to the British system. And of course, coming from the Kenyan system where things are a certain way,
Yes.
you move into a system which has different values, different ways of life. You want to fit in.
Yeah.
And for me, unfortunately, fitting in looked like testing alcohol at a very young age. I think I started drinking when I was 13,
Wow.
14. I started experimenting with alcohol. And at the time, we would go to village market and they had shisha and all of these things. So I started smoking,
Okay.
you know. So again, in the quest of fitting in,
Yeah.
fast forward, that kind of became my life.
Yeah.
13, 14, 15. Now, when you're 16 in the international scene, at least when I was growing up, there was this thing called prom.
Okay.
And you know, on prom night, what happens is
Yeah.
you lose your virginity. And so I was like, you know what, I've watched this movie so much.
Yeah.
Even me, like I literally, and I'm someone who, if I put my mind to something, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's
And I'd said when I'm 16, let's do this thing so I can conform to what I found to be the norm in this other side.
Yeah.
And so I lost my virginity at 16. It's something that I share very openly because I believe there are people who've been influenced by media, by movies, and they go by it. So I'm not shy to share what I went through. So lost my virginity at 16, and you can, I think from there is where everything just went. Everything just, I don't know, it took its own life where I had sex, I had sex, I had sex, I had sex, and then the sex was not doing anything good to me. And then I was sharing earlier with Justin, and I was telling him that I would look for the little girl who was raised right, and I can't find her. And so when I'm not finding her, and that little girl and this now girl who's having sex, drinking, when those two are not matching, I go and drink more. Luckily, I never got into any hard drugs or anything. Mimi nilikuwa tu. But of course, it starts with a Kasman of Ice.
Yeah.
It graduates to the Makalis, and the, you know, so my life was alternating between drinking and very toxic relationships. And now to bring you to where I actually gave my life to Christ, because this life led to emptiness. I just saw darkness. I remember people would ask, who do you want to be when you're older? I didn't know. People would be like, about weddings, and I hear my friends planning, you know, my dress would be like this. Julie, I could not see a future. I used to think I would die early because the only thing I would see is darkness. I just saw darkness in my future. Now, fast forward to when I moved to, so I finished school, and then for my undergrad, I joined USIU. I was doing my Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice. As a criminal justice student, I would go smoke weed. So I did get into weed. I would go smoke weed, I would go drink, and I would go and learn about criminal justice, which is telling you not to do that. Anyway, so again, in uni now it intensified. The same cycle of having sex and drinking and just trying to fill a void with those things. And that's where God got me from. I got into a very toxic relationship in uni, and that relationship left me for dead, basically. I got into a relationship with a guy, and he had to leave. And then the country that he moved to, luckily, I was going to that country as well. And so I went to that country in the search for closure. And guys, let me tell you something. Closure near week too. There's nothing like closure. Like, let's stop doing that. I went there to meet my friend, but good thing he was there. And then I didn't get the closure I wanted, so what did I do? I had sex again, because this was my medicine. I had sex again. I was drinking myself silly. So I was suicidal without even knowing I was suicidal. I was living a life of suicide. And I remember coming back to Kenya from that trip, and I went on my knees and I told God, you know what? You either save me or you take me home. I'd reached to that point where I was like, this life is meaningless to me. My life is empty. It has nothing of value. I have no purpose. I don't add to anyone. That's where God got me from. And so that night, I had a dream and I had an out-of-body experience. And in that out-of-body experience, it was very clear that God wanted me back.
Okay.
And so when I shared the dream with someone, they told me, run to church. And so that's exactly what I did. Julie, the following Sunday, I went to Sitam Thika Road. Nika, I was even sharing, I slept through the sermon.
Okay.
I slept through the sermon. At the end of the sermon, Nika Nka. And then there was an altar call. And when I heard the altar call, I was like, Mungu, nitasemea. So you see, like when they say altar call, watu wanaenda pale mbele. So you know, me, I said, God, I will do it from my chair. I'm not moving. I don't have to. Why do I have to do that? And I literally felt someone move. Something pushed me. And I was like, I charge corner to demons, me stacking. So I was taking, so I took my bag and I was ready to get out of the church. I ended up at the altar bawling. I was crying.
Wow.
Like the one with the snorts and everything. I was crying, so I was saying the prayer when I'm crying. But for me, that moment was so real because I felt a burden. As I said those words, something lifted off. I was carried away, and that's how I gave my life to Christ. That's how I came to Christ. And then from there on, I got into Christian discipleship.
Okay.
And that's how I ended up loving the Word and God. Yes.
So that was your turning point.
My God, yes.
And no one really told you that you have to, you have to give your life to Christ. It was just a natural calling, conviction.
Oh, mine was a conviction.
So tell us now that you've gotten born again and you're still young, and obviously you've tested the other life completely. How has it been for you being a young Christian?
I will not tell anybody that it's easy. I will not lie to you that it was a smooth transition for me. Okay, for me, because it was a conviction and because the church that I was in really focused on discipleship, they focused on rooting you in the Word and in prayer, that really helped me as a young Christian, because I was able to stand on the foundation of God's Word, and that's how I became really passionate about God's Word. I used to tell people it's like something is burning inside of me, and that's how I started my channel, which we'll talk about that later. So I would feel like everybody needs to know about this thing, and it was okay for 1 year. I was like that. It was reading the Bible. I was even sharing earlier that I would read more Bible than reading my school books. That's where I had gotten. And let me tell you, God was faithful. I would read 1 hour, and exactly what I would read. These things are real, y'all. Like, I would read the Bible up until 1 hour to my exam. And I would ask God to show me exactly what to read for, and exactly what I would read for. Julie, I'm telling you, it is exactly what would come. So I was living faith-based completely. At some point, I didn't have money for internet, and I remember telling God, I need to create videos for you, so I don't know how you're going to do it. I lived without paying for internet, but I had internet.
Wow.
I don't know how. Faith. I genuinely don't know. So that's how it started.
Wow.
But I know it doesn't start like that for everyone else. And so it got to a point where, because I didn't have someone walking with me, I got overconfident. And so I was like, I'm in control. I can do this. So a friend of mine called me one day, and they're like, meet me at a club. I'm really in a bad place. I'm like, God, I can do this. I have self-control. Julie, I went there. I drank myself silly.
Oh my.
I drank myself silly. 2017
and
September.
This is the faithful girl now.
Yes, and this is the faithful, and this is 1 year into it.
Okay.
I'm thinking I'm strong enough for this, you know.
Yeah.
I drank myself silly. The first boy I saw was kissing. Environment. I went back to an environment that God had taken me out of.
Okay.
And so people usually say, because you're Christian, you can now enter those environments and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Hello? No. Don't do that. Avoid the environments that are going to tempt you to do the very things that God has delivered you from. And so I went, and I said no one was walking with me, so I stayed there. I was like, yani, Mungu amenipatia chance ingine, nimeblow. And so for a few months, I was just, that cycle started again, until God brought someone, an older woman, who held me back up and started convicting me that those things were wrong.
Okay.
Because my friends were like, you're okay, we do these things also, because these things are happening in church. Still, I'm also doing it, I'm Christian, so I was like, But God brought someone who called those things out. But to answer your question, it has not been easy.
Okay.
2017 to 2021, I was one foot this side,
The other foot, the other side.
the other foot the other side. So temptations were there, but I was not mature in my faith enough to say no.
Okay.
So I would find myself, if the boys come, I do get tempted, I do. So I will not lie to someone and say it's perfect. It's not perfect. And that's the thing with Christianity, you're being perfected every single day.
Every single day.
Yes, so it's hard, especially when you're young and your hormones are alive, girl. Yes.
Tell me, did you lose friends or did you retain your old friends?
Whoa. I lost friends. I lost my friends after giving my life to Christ because I was very radical. A lot of the people that I would go to clubs with, those were my friends, those were my people groups, but they all just, I remained with one friend.
Okay.
I only had one friend, all the other relationships kind of just withered away.
Okay.
Yes.
And now that you've lost friends, you're trying to make new friends, have you been able to get into a relationship that you would have thought that would have taken you to a serious thing? Talk to us about your relationships.
Yes. It did get to a point where I'm human. I want to be in a relationship. I've traveled out of the country, and when I was out of the country, I met somebody.
Okay.
And that meeting led to something serious. So I got into a long distance relationship, and that relationship started what I would say would be the most serious relationship I've ever heard, because all the others were just, come, we do this thing, we end it. But this one was different.
Okay.
It's a long story.
Okay.
Yes, it's a long story.
And we can talk about it.
We can talk about that story.
So guys, that is Kate Manning, and are you there and you are a young Christian, you're struggling with these things as you've had, you cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. You need someone to hold your hand. Just like in a relationship, you cannot walk alone in a relationship, in a marriage setup, in whatever it is, you need someone, because God has put you there, yes, for a purpose, but He still knew that you needed help. Yeah, so you need someone to hold your hand, to show you the way. She is telling us, as raw as it is, you cannot do it alone. So guys, if you want to listen to part 2 of this story, you want to know how the long distance relationship was like. And guys, let me tell you, you do not want to miss it, because I listened to it and it sounded more of a movie. Yeah, zile movie me watch kwa TV, but you know what guys, I don't have much to tell you. You only need to, wait for that video part 2 of this and get to hear everything, get to be inspired, because this lady has one of an amazing story you don't want to miss out. So see you in our next video, and we love you. Make sure to subscribe, comment and share. Love you guys.